How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. What was the selfish girl thing?
I was just looking at Aunt Lydia clips.
Oh, cool.
Blessed be the fruit girls!
How are your levels?
Pretty good, I think. Yeah.
In a good place?
I think they are, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, well, welcome to episode 13.
No, I'm not ready.
It's episode 13.
DVDs at my feet. Yeah, I've got DVDs at my feet, so I'm just cleaning the DVD. Yeah. No, I'm good.
Are you good now? Okay, well, take two. Yeah. Coming to you every week from Sydney and Melbourne. It's Full Disclosure, the Jono and Dorje podcast. Jono and Dorje, full disclosure in the raw. Jono and Dorje, full disclosure, no holds barred. No holds barred. Welcome to episode 13 of Full Disclosure. Jono Burns, how you doing?
Lucky for some. Very well, Dorje. Very excited to make it to 13.
Episode 13, that's right. Yeah, and we're rocketing up towards 1,000 listens, the big 1,000 mark. So hopefully we'll be able to get there before episode 14 clicks over. And what a great special guest we had last week. Were you happy with Jamie's work?
Yeah, he was fantastic, Jamie Timoney.
Very
awesome.
Charismatic. Yeah.
Very charismatic. Yeah, I thought he had your number.
Right, I didn't know it was a competition, but yeah. Did you end up catching up with them at all, or has that happened? You
No,
seem pretty keen to
he
catch
hasn't
up.
returned any of my calls. I'll keep you updated. I think I'll throw a line at him because I'm working in Thornbury this Thursday, so I will try and get in touch with him. We'll see. We'll see if he's a man of his word and he wants to catch up with me every day.
Wouldn't hold your breath, mate. Wouldn't hold your breath. Would not expect it.
Who do you reckon could hold their breath longer out of the two of us?
I used to practice in the bath. Did you used to do that or not?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
No.
Well, I also
used to practice something else in the bath.
No, that's unnecessary.
Cleanliness.
We don't need to go there.
No.
Surfing. I used to do because of surfing. I used to have to hold the breath a lot because it got pounded by the waves.
Oh, yep.
And I think that via that I would have had pretty good. But having said that, I also punched out a lot of bongs in my youth, so that might have ruined that.
Is that your full disclosure for the week that you punched out?
I think
bongs?
Most people can get that from talking to me that I punched out a few too many bongs. It was mostly it was all the rage back in Perth from the buckets were the rage actually, all the rage from about 16 through to about 20 to 21, 22. There was one guy
pretty much then. Yeah.
There was one guy that used to have
more bong to look. All right, sure.
One guy used to have this house. His dad was a NASA scientist, and so his parents were loaded, and they just left him in this huge house which had a basketball court in the back, Nintendo setup, and I'd say there's a whole bunch of us that, you know, thankfully I managed to pass, but lots of us just spent a whole year and a half, 2 years, our first 2 years of uni, just getting wasted and playing basketball and Mario Kart. So it was pretty sweet. But
like real basketball, so you'd play basketball, like not virtual basketball, real basketball, but then Mario Kart, so you'd mix it up.
Yeah. We get stoned and then we play basketball in the backyard and then we play Mario Kart. It was four-player Mario and Bond, of course. That was all the rage back then. But some friends have pointed out that he never had a chance, that guy. I mean, you know, in terms of reaching his potential, being left with this amazing pad. There used to be about 8 cars parked out the front. You'd rock up. And basically,
they'd go to Houston. They'd go because that's where NASA is. Would his parents go to Houston?
I think they were somewhere like that. Yeah. It was a great pad in East Fremantle. I won't name any names, but it was just terrible timing for him because he was quite intelligent, but he just wasted.
George,
yes, go on.
Speaking of really riveting stuff about you and bongs, but speaking of naming names, I think we should give our first shout outs to some loyal listeners.
Yes.
They are the wings beneath our the wings?
Yes.
No, the wind beneath our wings.
Have we ever told you you're our hero?
Well, you're right. Our hero. Matty Connors, thank you very much. Hank.
Matty Connors, big raps.
You two wonderful boys, Tommy and Harry. And these guys are actually related to cousin Tim, who still hasn't listened to more than 3 minutes of our podcast. So thank you so much. Harry, I hope your knee gets better. And looking
You're
forward to
everything
maybe...
I would like to be.
Who else? Pete Braden, thank you very much.
Peter
James
Braden, you're my hero.
Who else? Your mate at the at SBS?
Jeremy Gilroy, you're my hero.
And of course, our sisters and our partners.
'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Fly, fly, fly.
You're in a great mood. This is going to fly. This podcast.
It's funny. Where'd you get that word from, mate? This just came out of nowhere. Fly. That's weird. And decent Nick, mate. Just had I'm drinking a fantastic lemon. One of those lemon flavored drinks. I'm into lemons.
You're sucking on a lemon. It's put you in a good mood.
I just think life gives you lemons, mate. So I've just been
better than fucking a melon. And sorry about that, guys. Got a bit of feedback about that, and I apologise. It was Dorje's idea. He said you should put this.
No, it wasn't. Everyone can hear from my reaction.
You wanted to show the footage. I was like, no, we'll just do the audio of it. But there'll be no more of that. This is going to be a highbrow episode.
People pointed out that normally we go downhill towards the back end of the episodes. We started out with just complete
a man fucking a melon. Which, I apologize. It was all my idea. It was Medicine Man who passed it on. But that was a real horror video.
Corrupted it. We were accused of being highbrow at one stage with references to Nietzsche. No one's accusing us of being highbrow now. I can tell you that straight away.
Oh yeah, shout out to Tommy as well. Who did say we were a bit highbrow. Tommy why don't you the builder.
Make him sound like a real Neanderthal man, mate? Why don't you just give him a shout out while you're there?
He's a real knuckle dragger, that bloke.
No holds barred. Well, the shout-outs are important, but also what's very important to the world right now, probably the most important thing, is the World Cup, which was decided this morning. Jono, did you end up getting up and watching the game at all?
I did, and this will be like my kind of full disclosure. Like, I've just had a few... watching the World Cup, I've kind of been attacked a few times, so I just want to keep you up to date with that. I've had a few kind of unwanted advances, like our episode 11.
Wait, I think you're wrong episode, mate. We're in episode 13 now, so possibly.
Yeah, I know. Late. Well, I mean, just for those that remember all the themes. Basically, I've been watching it all, Dorje. I've been loving the World Cup, but on the way to the England. What was the last game that England won? So I got an Uber pool to watch England versus.
All right, yeah, Sweden.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said sweet.
No, Sweden.
So, all right. So I get in an Uber pool to go to St Kilda from Carlton, which is quite far away. And Uber pool's the new ride sharing, which is right up my alley because, I love talking to people and they kind of have to talk to you in an Uber pool. It's my second ever Uber pool, England-Sweden, in St Kilda at my cousin's place of work, which is a youth hostel. So I thought there'd be a lot of barmy army types there.
Oh, and Swedes, no doubt. Banking on a few Swedes, were you, mate?
Well, no, and there were no Swedes there either, but spoiler alert. But I get in the Uber and it's this lovely dude from Ethiopia and we're having a bit of a chat. My cousin actually is Ethiopian who works at the youth hostel, so I've got that straight off the bat to tell him. Plus I know a famous Ethiopian contortionist who you've met as well, and so he knew her because it's a small community and we're getting on great. We're having a bit of banter. I was like, oh, Uber pool, how good is this? It'd be really great is if you had a pool in the back of your car. And he's like, yeah, but the car's not nearly big enough. And he's got this weird kind of tick after everything he says. And he was like a little laugh, when people have like that. And so he was like, yeah, how cool would it be if in the back of the car I had like a pool table like this? And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool too. And we're like having a great time. And I was like, who are we picking up on the way? He says, we've got to stop by the city. Oh, and I should have told you, $6. It costs $6 from Carlton to St Kilda, usually $30. So awesome stuff. We stop in the city and it takes ages to rendezvous with these people that we're looking for, probably 15 minutes. So it's a bit of a downer. Kickoff's about to go. And finally, these two women get in the back of the car and from the get-go, it's okay. Like, they're both Kiwis. One of them works in a clothes shop. One of them works, she's an air hostess. And we're having a little bit of banter with them, but they seem very drunk. And they seem a bit pissed off that they were at the wrong corner. And one's visiting the other one from Christchurch. And then she starts talking about, that she'd love... I won't try and do the Kiwi accent, but she's just very inebriated. And she's like, I'd love a black baby And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, and then she goes, or maybe a half baby.
Oof.
Is that wrong? And he's like, oh, no, not wrong at all. And then, so now I'm just kind of looking ahead, like I don't really know what to do. I don't really want to talk to these two anymore. And then I can feel a hand on my curls. I've got quite curly hair and flicking through my curls. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I don't really know what to do here. I just ignore it. But it happens enough that I have to turn around and through my fury just say, excuse me, can you stop playing with my hair? She's like, oh, sorry, is that offensive? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, no, sorry. And then she starts doing it again. She goes, look at your noodle hair. It's not very clean, is it? I'm like, oh, fuck. I really don't know what to do. Like, I really am not sure how to handle this situation. But I turn around and the best I can say is it's a shame that the riders can't rate each other. And I think at that point her mate kind of like went, stop it, because she actually was worried that maybe she'd get a bad rating or something. But then it was just dead silence in the car. It was just super awkward. She called me noodle hair a few more times. And then she was a bully. She was basically a massive bully. And then we stopped and they're like, oh, this isn't the pub. This isn't where we want to go. And because in Uber pool, like it's not perfect. They drop you about within 15 kind of 120 meters or something away from it, but they couldn't get that in their head, and they're like, but we don't know where we are. And he's like didn't care, and then we deliberately told them the wrong way because we looked on the maps, but it was so awkward. So that was one
Hold on.
unwanted.
Let's wait a second. Let's just unpack this a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
We didn't let Timony get away with his without a bit of unpacking. So how old were they roughly?
They were probably mid-20s. And
you said she physically bullied you. Were they bigger than you?
She was. I didn't want to get into that, but the bully was quite big.
We just say they were bigger than you. They were bigger than you. Would you say you?
No, the friend who lived there wasn't bigger than me, but the bully was quite big.
So if you're in a boxing match, she would be in a heavier. Would she be in a heavier weight division than you?
She'd be heavier than me. I'm about 72 kilos.
You're very small. You'd be like a bantamweight, I assume, something like that, or featherweight.
Not
or
true.
Something.
No, not true. Mayweather's is lighter than me.
Is he?
Yeah, he is a lightweight though.
Yeah, you're a bit of a lightweight, and then the noodle hair thing. What do you think?
You're an intellectual lightweight, mate.
Would you say your hair was particularly dirty that day? Did you think perhaps you brought it upon yourself?
So I deserved it, did I? Yes, my hair's very dirty. I don't really.
Maybe give it a wash, mate. Maybe if you gave it a wash,
she wouldn't call you. Get bullied in Uber pool.
Maybe she wouldn't call you noodle head if you thought about straightening your hair.
I knew you'd like noodle hair. I knew that's the problem. I tell it to people and they laugh when they say, like the driver laughed, but I thought maybe it was just his twitch. But maybe he also.
No, I'm with you here. There was that time I got ravaged by an ex-girlfriend when we broke up, and I got hit in the head with a chain, and people pissed themselves
that's
laughing.
Obviously worse.
But people laugh. People think it's really funny for guys get brutalised by women. I don't know why.
She never brutalised me. Well, but I thought if I did kind of like get more belligerent...
Noodle hair is pretty scarring, mate. I don't know if you'd be able to sleep at night. Are you okay? Have you recovered from it? I mean, it's pretty damaging.
I tell you how I sleep at night. I sleep on my noodle hair. I sleep my soft pillow.
I guess you could say you really bounced back then from it, eh? With a little bit of a trampoline effect from the old scone. All right, so moving right along.
So then I thought after that, and then also there was no vibe at the youth hostel anyway because just backpackers are a bit tired, and so they were just kind of like they roared when England won.
They weren't tired of your shit. Was it possible? I mean, it's really random. For backpackers are normally full of energy. They've got a lust for life. Where knackered backpackers doesn't normally go hand in hand. You didn't try your.
This was a knackered backpackers.
You didn't try any bomb on the bus routine or anything like that, did you? Just dampen the spirits.
That's a callback when I yelled out, "There's a bomb at the bus" in the Syrian game. I also remembered I was yelling out some other funny stuff, like I was yelling out "Hold!" like doing Braveheart calls.
Always good.
And like build a wall, build a fucking wall.
Solid.
It wasn't all just bomb on the bus.
It's a good basketball reference.
But anyway, so I thought after that I'm going to I'll just watch at home.
Yeah.
I've got SBS on demand.
Yep.
I can listen to the dulcet tones of Dorje Swallow. You're pretty much on every second ad on SBS at the moment, so that's comforting. That'd be like I'm watching with my mate. And so for the next game, for Belgium France, I just got up at 4 a.m. and woke up, made myself a coffee, turned it on, and fucking it wasn't buffering. SBS On Demand wasn't buffering. And I've obviously had a long-running dispute with Optus anyway, and there's lots of notes against my name. So I rang
hole
up
in the wall next to the laptop with the Clarkson.
So I was furious, and so I rang up Optus, and he gave me maybe you should just plug in and unplug the device. And I was like, "Have you seen the notes? Do you see the notes next to my name?" He goes, "Yes, I see. There's a new modem. You've got a new modem." I was like, "Listen." Just make it faster. He's like, "Have you tried switching it on and off?" And I said, fuck Optus. Fuck you guys. Just write that down. Just write, fuck Optus. I've had enough. I'm done. I'm done with Optus, okay? Fucked us. And hung up and then tried to go to bed because I couldn't watch it, but I just had a massive coffee. So I had the worst sleep. And mysteriously, Dorje, now SBS On Demand doesn't work on my computer. Do you think they could have turned off SBS On Demand?
No.
Do you think he's just like, fuck that guy? Not only will I not make it faster, it doesn't log. So now I don't have SBS On Demand. And so then last night, for the final, the World Cup final, I was texting around and none of my mates wanted to watch the game. I didn't try too hard, but I tried a few people. And so I was like, I can't watch it at home. None of my mates want to watch with me. So I just felt like an absolute loser.
A noodle.
And so,
I feel like a real noodle.
So the poor little noodle head. So I got on my bike, very cold in Melbourne, and I went to a pub, 5-minute bike ride from me on Russell Street, which is open till 4 a.m. It's kind of an English-looking pub. And I went in there, and I got in there at 11, and Honey Babe was like, "What are you doing? You don't need to do this." I was like, "You don't understand. I want to be where everyone is. It's the Wimbledon final. Everyone's watching that, and it's the World Cup final. It happens every 4 years. I've got to do it." But so I went by myself. There was no one there at that stage, and I was just sitting at a bench watching the Wimbledon final. It wasn't very good. Djokovic is smashing Anderson. And then slowly people kind of start flooding in, and then it gets really crowded. And these Croatian guys, like, I hate this. This is a belligerent Burns. They don't ask, can they join your table? They go, "Hey, you don't mind if we join your table, do you? You got plenty of room here. You don't mind if we sit here?" And that happened about 10 times.
Were you sitting by yourself?
Yes. Nursing a pint of water, but I was drinking beers slowly as well. And I was
you did have plenty of room, to be fair.
I was depressed. I was basically depressed at this point because I was like, my phone was running out of battery. I was trying to read articles, like looking a bit at the game, but just thinking this is a pretty depressing thing in my life that I'm just by myself at this pub. And then more and more, and they're really obnoxious, this bunch of friends. Like, they're just toxic masculinity. They're all talking about bucks parties and
fucking melons and
banging chicks. And no, they were making comparisons between Zelic and the person on Optus, the woman on Optus that does it, and they're like, "Oh, I like her better." And I'm now, because every time I went to the bathroom, I was like, "Oh shit," because I was going to the bathroom a lot because I was drinking lots of pints of water. I was thinking, "Oh fuck, they're going to take my seat," so I'd put like a little glove or something on my seat. And I got back, and sure enough, they've just taken over the table. And I go, "You don't mind if I take my seat back?" They're like, "Yeah." And now they're much more confident because I was gone for a bit, and so they're kind of like shouting over me, and I just look like such a loser. And I go, "Hey mate, do you want to swap seats? I can swap seats with you because then you can talk to your mate." And he's like, "Oh, you can talk to us, mate." I was like, "Oh no, it's fine. You guys talk to each other." So I was on the outside, but by the half time, I had enough. France had gone up a goal, and I just thought, "Fuck it, it's 2-1. I think I've seen enough." And so I got on my bike and just left to go to bed for the second half because I'd had a few beers and I'd had a whiskey. And I got on my bike, and as I'm riding back to where I live in Carlton, because I live above this shisha bar, there's like a mob of dudes outside the shisha bar because it's half time, and they watch every night very loudly the World Cup, and you can hear them all cheering and stuff. A mob. And I didn't think of it.
It sounds like they're giving you the shishas, mate.
Well, I didn't think anything of it because there's often a lot of bikies and like scary looking dudes at the shisha bar, Comanchero kind of looking dudes. But I'm riding my bike, and they're all laughing, and they're filming something, and this is all a bit of a blur. But then quite a little guy, but a muscly little guy with a beard, just comes out at me and starts going, "Fuck you, fuck, yeah, you fuck," and they're all laughing, and he's like chasing me on my bike, and then he grabs me while I'm riding. And, like, it's the fight or flight thing. Like, it was obviously flight. I'm on a bike. It's a perfect vehicle for flight. But I was like, all that came out of my my mouth was, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I called him dude. It is, and he, like, they were laughing, but he wasn't. He had kind of crazy, no empathy eyes. And he was like, you fuck. And I was running out of momentum. Like, he was just kind of, like, holding my bike as I was pedaling furiously. And finally, he let me go. And I just whooshed off, and they were pissing themselves. And I was like, fuck, how do I get home now? Because, like, they're all just outside the alley to my house. And so I kind of rode around a little bit and then ducked back. I should have actually done the maths and just waited another 10 minutes because they were going back to watch the game. But I went a bit early and I came back and just very, like, slowly just, like, walked, like, luckily not through them, but just past them through the alley and up. And, just went to bed.
So there was no provocation towards that guy whatsoever that you can think of?
No, there wasn't, Dorje.
Did you wash your hair before you... Did you have a lot of hair?
Same noodle hair. Same hair. Yeah.
So do you think he was just
Maybe
doing
he just
it...
hates bikes.
Right. And when he grabbed you on the bike, was it a bit like one of those in a cartoon or something where the wheels are going fast but they're not moving and he's sort of holding the bike and you're pedaling more furiously? Or was it? Well, that's what I'm imagining in my head.
Yeah, that's a good imagination, but that's not how bikes work. But yeah, no, I didn't like go and go off really fast after, but I did. Yeah, like I was scared, and and then you have these fantasies afterwards of like, oh, I wish I had I wish I was a black belt and I could just, like, beat him up and then beat all his friends up. But really, if I'd done anything, if I'd, like, tried to, like, push him, there's a chance that they would have all beaten me up. Or I was thinking, imagine if, like, all my best friends were cops, I could, like, just walk into the venue and just be like, is this the guy? And just drag him out. But there was very little I could do. I thought about ringing the venue and going, you guys are dickheads. Like,
Yeah.
That's a
tricky one. It does remind when you had to walk past them. It segues into that incident that I had in Newtown quite recently, which I told you about when. I was in a car and we're going to see Hereditary, which will tie in pretty shortly later on in our episode for our review of the week. But it was just a laneway which you turn left into. It's a shared laneway, so it's 10 kilometres an hour, I believe, the speed limit. And as we pulled in, you can see the shared lane 10 kilometres an hour, and we're driving along, and these people are sort of out of the way. It's all good. And suddenly the guy just turns and jumps in front of the car and screams, slow down, at the top of his lungs. And I'm just like, whoa, dude. And, like, I would have been going 11 probably max, but I slowed down to 8. We kept driving. I was like, that was full on. And Georgie, my partner, was like, oh, of course, it was typical white. It was an older white male. Surprise, surprise, with his entitled bullshit. Anyway,
the worst. They're the worst.
That's what she said, basically, which is fair enough because I've seen, unfortunately, she's copped it from often men of that description, baby boomers. Anyway, so I pulled into the right. I park. And unfortunately, once I parked, I realised we had to walk past the guy and his partner and their 15-year-old boy. He would have been about, I'd say, 65. His partner, I'd say, around early 60s. And their son, I'd say, about 15. With long hair, very Newtown looking. She had a big scarf on, colourful scarf, and a big overcoat, and I think it was like a cool sort of roaring 20s era sort of hat. And the guy who screened it had like those Woody Allen-esque glasses, and he looked like he could play clarinet in a jazz band or something. So it was a weird experience because I've always empathised with those very Fremantle type vibe, left sort of muso types. Anyway, so I get out of the car and go, oh,
usually you'd have a couple of bongs with them,
something like that. But maybe a joint by a fireplace and bash out some Bob Dylan and with some nice vocal harmonies. Anyway, so I'm walking down and I'm like, oh, I have to walk past these guys. And the guy sort of just paused over his phone weirdly. The lady's on the other side and the kid's just sort of looking the other way. And it's a bit really awkward. And as we're walking, the guy doesn't say anything. And I'm you know me, I'm never one to mince my words. I basically said, listen, mate, that was a bit full on. I was doing 11 max. And he goes, well, it doesn't matter. It's a shared zone, And I said, well, look, we were doing 11 max. He goes, well, it's too fast. And I said, mate, why don't you have a hot cocoa and a lie down? And so we keep walking. And then the lady pipes up and his partner, which makes me think it was actually her all along that was putting him up to it. And she just pipes up with, well, if you don't like it, you shouldn't be coming through here. And I said, okay. And then she goes, if you don't like Newtown, just stay away from Newtown. We don't want your type here. Go back to where you came from. And I'm at this stage, I hear the don't wait. I hear the don't go back to where you came from. And I just turned and went, great, thanks, rednecks, appreciate it. And we just kept walking. Anyway, Georgie only clocks at and I turned to her afterwards. We keep walking and another 15 steps, and I turned to her and go, how's that? Go back to where you came from. And she goes, oh my God, I think, were they being racist? And I think, and she goes, and it didn't even, she's never experienced anything like that before. So she was just flabbergasted that someone would say something like that. And it's not the first time I've been exposed to it, but what really struck me as weird about it was, and it's because of the Newtown King's Cross effect, and there's been a few gay bashings, and a lot of the King's Cross effect, which happened, which is the violence from people from the outskirts of Sydney coming in, partying, big groups of men, similar to the groups you encountered yourself, John, on your ride back, have been sort of beating up people, especially there's been the odd gay bashing again. It's things we haven't seen for a long time. And I think, unfortunately, my reading was, and I'm 85% sure on this, is that they were left-wing racists. They were actually defending what they said their territory, and they were reading me, I think, being of a darker skin colour, as being possibly someone from those outskirts who was coming in.
Potentially not saying go back to the country of your origin. They were saying go back to the Bankstown or wherever you've come in.
Yeah, so she said her words were specifically, we don't want your type around here. If you don't like it, don't come to Newtown. We don't want you in Newtown. Go back to where you came from.
Sounds like Cronulla.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Sounds like it's protectivism. They've got this beautiful little inner
super
west
territorial. Yeah. But the thing is, I couldn't be bothered. Once she said that, it was no point engaging with them because you're not going to win anything. But the fact of the matter is, I've lived in Glebe for 12 years, which is...
It was your hot cocoa thing, though. It's not what you said, it's how you say it. I've seen you have a certain knack of just infuriating people. Just the subtlest little inflection.
It wasn't great, but regardless of all that stuff, the point of the matter is I haven't experienced left-wing racists before, and that was a very strange thing to experience. And similar to yourself, Jono, and Georgie wanted to go back, but I just don't think there's no way. I don't bother engaging with people like that. You're not going to change them. And with the group of men you're talking about, there's no point engaging with them. As you said, all you could do is inflame the situation. The best thing to do is take your high ground as much as you possibly can and walk away.
Way worse than yours. I was in almost beaten up by a gang.
Well, I don't think we need to do a litmus test on it, Jonathan. There's a point going, well, someone's a 9 on the scale and someone's a 4. They were both unsavoury experiences. But the point of the matter is what we both came away from, and taking something from Jamie Timoney last week, is, in certain situations, you can own up to things and you can take things take matters into your own hands. I think in those situations there was little we could do short of inflaming the situation.
Do you know what that reminds me of? One of my favourite Dorje stories was when we went to Fremantle, Sydney, and you just chime in any time here, but because you're good at research and you love a good deal, and you worked out that we could get a free bus, not from the city but from Glebe, where we were living at the time, and we had a group, didn't we? We had like 15 people. And we'd had it. And it picks us up from a pub. It was a pub on Glebe Point Road, and so we had not a skinful, but we were drinking for a couple of hours. We get on the bus. It's all Sydney Swans supporters, pretty much, and we're having a great time. And look, I'll objectively say you were being very funny. The funniness was around you at that moment. You were in rich form. I won't even say rare form.
I was pretty liquored up.
Well, anyway, I'm not going to blame it on the liquor. I think say that that was what made you funny. You were just cracking funnies, and I thought, not in a disrespectful way. Your voice carries, and we're on a bus, and we're on the bus, and we're heading into Telstra Stadium, and this woman turns around. And she goes, listen, you've been crapping on for the last half an hour, and I'm sick of it. Shut your mouth. And it was like being back at school. We all just went, ooh. But unfortunately, I think she saw that we were about 5 minutes away from the game. From getting to the game, but just as she said it, we hit bumper to bumper gridlock traffic, and it took you about 3 minutes just to snap out of your shame, and you just started just whispering and mumbling that no, can't say anything now. Sorry, didn't know you weren't allowed to talk on the bus in Stasi Russia, and then And it just became like this. You were just absolutely triggering this poor woman. She yelled at you for no reason, and you could just see her just getting more and more beetroot red. It was so funny. And then like it was another 20 minutes, I think, the bus ride, and she was just pushing her husband, say something. He's like, I'm not fucking saying anything. And then sure enough, when we got into the car park, she had one more big spray for you.
Yeah, I can't remember the content that I was saying that was offending so much. I think I was having a go at Sydney supporters not understanding the rules. I think I do remember I went back to that well.
She took it
times.
Personally. Yeah, she internalised it. It was very funny.
I think I was making gags about Sydney supporters not understanding AFL football really, and she probably didn't like that very much.
Shut your mouth! Quite an intense thing to say, and you really you were backed up by a lot of friends. Like there was a lot of people that weren't going to really back her up and go, yeah, shut up to it.
It was a very awkward laughing. Bus ride. It was a very awkward bus ride and quite funny.
It's full disclosure. The Jono and Dorje podcast.
I did allude earlier to what I was doing on the occasion we did drive to Newtown, and that was to see a particular film, and that should segue nicely into our review for the week, because we've both actually seen this one, Jono, which is fantastic.
This is a trend now. This is keeps on going. This is our second film together that we've seen together.
Now, how would you pronounce the title of the film?
Hereditary.
You wouldn't say Hereditary?
Hereditary. I'm going to go with Hereditary. I'm going to lock that in.
No, you're right. Ding, that's correct. It's
I can't spell it. I definitely can't spell it. You spell it. Try and spell it. Don't look at a screen.
I'm not going to look at it. Hereditary. H-E-R. Hered.
Yep.
E. Hered.
No.
What? Yes, it is. It is E. I'm sure it is. E.
Yeah, right.
Hered. D. Hered. It. I-T-A-R-Y.
I-T-A-R-Y. Yes, well done. You're quite good at spelling.
Yeah, I won a few spelling bees when I was a kid. But would you say insulate or insulate?
Insulate.
I say insulate, yeah. But a lot of people say insulate. Have you noticed that? Or insulation. Have you noticed that? Really, really annoys me.
We'll have to ask Tom the Knuckle Dragger.
Really gets my goat. Anyway, moving back to Hereditary, I'm glad we got the pronunciation out the way. Did you enjoy the film?
I enjoyed the film very much. You know, I'm a real wuss when it comes to horror films. We've seen a few together because Georgie likes them, and I often watch them through.
You screamed once when watching Game of Thrones and some bats on the screen.
Yeah, even more famously when I was dating a...
Yes, this is a great story.
A Romanian in when I lived in New York, and she was from Bucharest. And she was a tough cookie. And we went to see not even the original Japanese Ring, but the remake with Toni Collette. And I really screamed. I screamed in it. And then afterwards she said, in Romania, the men do not scream. And she broke up with me.
She broke up with you. Yeah.
Spat on me and then broke up with me. Yeah. So.
In one version of that story, you not only screamed, you jumped as well. You jumped in your seat. Yeah.
I take it. Yeah, they're very scary, and this was very scary, but it was also just incredibly well done. It's a very well-made film, and it's a first feature by this guy. Is that right?
I'm not sure about that. Possibly, yeah. You tell me. But I had a friend vomit in a movie on a date once. He was so freaked out by it. You never had that sort of visceral experience before?
Not happened to me, but I went to Irreversible in a cinema.
Yes.
And that's a French film where there's a couple of really horrible things. There's a prolonged rape scene for it's about 10 minutes. Monica Bellucci gets raped by this guy in a subway. And there's another bit where a guy gets his head basically eviscerated by a fire. He gets
fire
his
extinguisher?
Head crushed. He gets his head extinguished by a fire extinguisher. Yes.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
And a dude went, ah! And went to run out of the cinema, but then vomited in the, as he was running up the ramp, and then slipped on his own vomit and fell down. And I was like, did the filmmaker send this guy to do that? That seems like the logical kind of next step, that this film is so gross.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah,
why we had that in? Do you remember that vampire film, Let the Right One In? Do you remember that? Were you in that cinema with me? I was in the cinema with somebody, and it just starts rolling up, and it's terrible. But this guy just starts. It comes the sequences start, and we hear this. No, no, no. Well, I'm looking around. It's like, is this a movie? And he's like, it's terrible. No, it's awful. It's awful. And we're looking around, and this man starts thrashing around and walks out the cinema screaming. He's like yelling outside the theater. And it goes on for about 10 minutes, and then it finishes. Everyone just kept watching the movie. And then when I came out at the end, I said, what was that? And apparently it was a war veteran who had was
PTSD.
shell shock essentially, and what we call now
ADHD.
No, it's not called ADHD.
PSP.
No, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Yeah, and he reacted that, but at the time
was it on something. Was it during something scary, or was it at the opening credits?
It was something scary. Scary stuff at the start. Yeah.
That's a great movie, though, don't you think?
That's a fantastic one.
It's one of the better horror movies. Yeah, that's one we agree on. Do you know, because that's the one where there's a little girl vampire and this guy's kind of looking after, he's in love with her.
Yes.
And that's what sometimes reminds me of having a cat.
Yes. Why? Because you think the cat could eat you at any stage? Or?
Yeah, well, it's like this wild animal that I'm like killing things for so they can eat. Like I feel like I've kind of got that.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Good analogy.
Yeah,
so, that is a horror film of sorts, but this is a wonderful horror film, I think.
Just wonderful. Just absolutely wonderful.
I don't want to be too effusive, but Ari Aster, you're quite correct. He is a first-time filmmaker, feature filmmaker, I should say. He's done some shorts before, but look, I think he's really nailed it with this. How did you go with it?
Yeah, well, I've read a few reviews, and I do enjoy how it's a film in two halves, like how it kind of it's a real slow burn, and it reminds me of a film that we've disagreed on, and that I've kind of rejigged now that I saw that it got lots of good reviews. The what was it called? The one with wait
a second. You're saying you turn around after you see a film's had you change your mind on something once you see it's had good reviews?
It does affect me a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it just shows that I'm not like rigid in my opinion.
Well, it just shows you realise you have no idea sometimes, I suppose. Yes.
What's the movie? Just say the movie that I
Don't Look Now. Don't Look Now was the film, and we sat in a great screening at a wonderful theatre on the North Shore, the Orpheum, Cremorne Orpheum, and you were visibly making vomit signs and smelly, waving your hand across your face like someone had farted and pointing at the screen as it was happening.
I must have been in a mood. But
and I was like, can someone make that 12-year-old sit down and shut up? That was what I was thinking. You can let us enjoy the movie. And lo and behold, a few years later, you're like, it's actually quite good. Well, then why were you jumping around like a 12-year-old making fart noises near your nose and pointing at the screen?
I don't know. This was better than that. Don't Look Now. And it was doing everything it could, it felt, to unsettle you. It was using sounds. It was just getting you really ramped up to get terrified in the second half. And then in the second half, this film, there was a moment in this film, one moment where I actually kind of felt my heart almost like explode out of my chest, much like when I got attacked on the bike last night. It was a similar feeling, but very impressive that you can do that in a cinema screen where you think you're safe.
But you're not safe at all.
Do you know the bit I'm thinking about? Do you have a bit that was clearly the scariest bit in the movie?
Is it about 3/4 of the way through?
No, it's towards the end. Basically, 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes to the end, which is just balls to the wall. We're just going to scare the fuck out of you.
Oh, I see. Well, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the bit which channels the Exorcist a little bit.
Yes,
that sequence.
Absolutely. Yeah, just scared me then just thinking about it. And an excellent cast. Toni Collette is the lead, and she really carries the film. Gabrielle Byrne plays her husband, and he's really aged a lot. It's quite confronting just seeing. Like an actor you like look really old. You agree? You're terrified of your own mortality.
I'd say people dying more, but yeah, sure, it certainly does.
His face has been ravaged by alcohol. Yeah, and then their two kids.
Does he have an alcohol problem? Gabriel Byrne, is that part of the issue?
He's Irish. You do the math. So there's Alex Wolff and Millie Shapiro play the two children. Lesser knowns. Alex Wolff. I realised that I recognised him from Independence Day. Not Independence Day, Patriots Day, the excellent Peter Berg film about the Boston Marathon. He plays one of the terrorists in that. And Millie Shapiro, first film, she's very good, isn't she, Dorje?
Yes, she is. And she was in Matilda, apparently, before that. So she's quite versatile, apparently.
Triple threat.
So Alex Wolff, you've seen him other stuff, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah,
he was cool.
He's very cool. We don't want to give spoilers. I guess we should say you should see the film.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about it, which I think is is really one of the major attractions of the film to me. Is it's one of my favourite themes. I mean, in terms of cinema I'm drawn to, and it's probably a bit of a bone of contention between Jono and I, but I like films focusing on one subjective view of reality and the blurring of reality and perspective. You know, I like that sort of Rashomon thing, but also that Lynchian thing where, you know, what is reality? So that philosophical, existentialist sort of stuff. And I think what's great about this film is the premise, or one of the major tenets of the piece, is the director has gone out deliberately and said on the record, writer-director Ariasta, that everything can be explained as mental illness or as a supernatural horror. So when you plot the film itself, you can go back and you can read it as the mentally ill, and hence the title itself, Hereditary. And as we know more and more, or as science has told us, human beings are essentially the product of our breeding, our nature, and our nurture, our social conditioning. And, you know, mental illness, for that matter, is now being linked heavily to your genetics. And certainly your events, environmental impacts, but most definitely there's a large genetic impact as well. So the premise of this particular piece is Toni Collette's family has had a long history of mental illness for quite some time, and she's been surrounded by a lot of death related to mental illness, and therefore that's a really solid foundation for this exploration of what can be described as some horrific supernatural events in a sort of a Christian Satan-esque biblical sense, but also what can be read very clearly as really the onset of some extreme mental illness. And I found that really fascinating about the piece.
So at the end, you could just see that it was Toni Collette just imagining this stuff, you reckon?
Not Toni Collette at the end.
Oh, no, the boy.
It's definitely the boy. And George and I have discussed this in relation to, because there is certain sequences which you'll see which do not make sense. If you take the mental illness angle, there's certain events which don't make sense in terms of science because they are impossible unless it was supernatural. However, the reading you can take from the film is that they're viewed through the eyes of the mentally ill person when you're viewing them. Because what's very clever about it...
Oh, he doesn't see the immolation, though.
He doesn't see it. And the other thing is, all the characters that believe in the mental illness angle, they don't ever acknowledge, for example, when something supernatural is happening. I think it worked. What I love about it is it's a film which stands up to analysis, and they plot these little marks which can have clues about the supernatural nature very early in as well. Things you can need to look out for. One thing which I'll point out straight away to the discerning viewer is there's a lamppost with a particular symbol on it when they drive to a party, and if you spot that, then you're on the right sort of page in terms of your abilities to perceive film.
I just think sometimes you just like really complicated things that don't make sense, that you just pretend that you understand in order to feel smarter than everyone else.
No, it's not. I'm not pretending to understand it. You just need to, keep your eyes open and.
Well, you can need to keep your eyes open at a film. Yes, absolutely. Unless it's very scary,
well,
and then
not let your mind,
you need to close your eyes.
Ideally, not let your mind wander and focus on the film throughout. And not start thinking
about
other
too many
things.
Gestures and fair enough.
Like
not get angry at someone using too much of the armrest.
Yeah, exactly. Or someone's eating Maltesers on the right and that's giving you the shits. Or there's a.
By the way, at the Orpheum, where you're so upset with me, I remember you went on multiple times to go get like popcorn and beers and things like that. So you might not have been enjoying the film that much. You went for one of your showy exits and came back with lots of treats.
It was, in my defence, my third viewing of one of my favourite films. So it's been well and truly in my locker, thankfully, for some time. And that's the reason Chris Honore and I chose the film was because we're big fans of it. So that's why
that's when you're a bit annoyed when you go, the reason Chris Honore and I chose the film. That's you showing a little bit of disdain. Do you know who else? Speaking of good vocal inflections, Aunt Lydia is in the film. She has a very showy, not cameo, supporting role, and she, you loved her in that.
I thought she was exceptional. I thought she was a rich man's Kathy Bates, and I know that's controversial. A lot of people have a lot of time for Kathy Bates. I thought she was wonderful in Misery. Have you seen Misery? You've seen Misery, haven't you?
I love Misery. Yeah. I like horror movies that aren't just super terrible, like without gruesome. That was pretty gruesome. I read the book too. No, Misery is terrific. There was a Broadway play of Misery.
Was it successful? I'm assuming not.
It was commercially super successful, but I've heard her interviewed about it, and she was upset because she said there was a lot of gronks in the audience that just wanted to tick that bucket list of seeing a movie star on stage.
They weren't theatre. They weren't proper theatre people.
And it was too much of a combination between the book and the movie. Yeah. So they kind of, But Aunt Lydia was, I mean, I don't think you can be a rich person's Kathy Bates because she's very rich.
Anne Dowd is in Sydney, in Australia at the moment. So for all you fanboys and fangirls...
what's she doing here?
She's working on another project. I can't remember the name of it. But
we could get her on as a guest.
I think she's brilliant. I've got a lot of time for her as an actress, and I thought, as I said, she was.
Blessed be the fruit girls.
I thought she was by far the scariest thing in the film. There, her and Toni Collette. Actually, I shouldn't say by far. Not by far.
Selfish girl.
I think there's nothing more scary than someone that has warmth, and she has a warmth matriarchal quality, and then if you just add a little bit behind the glint of the kindness behind the eyes, you add something quite Machiavellian or perhaps even sociopathic, then that's a wonderful mix, and one which is intoxicating to view in my eyes. So,
she'd play a good Nurse Ratched, I reckon. She'd be amazing in Misery.
She's just brilliant. I'm a big fan of Winslet. I can't wait till Winslet transitions into playing some evil characters. That'd be fantastic. I think if I was her, that'd be a great career move. She's always playing so goddamn nice.
Jono and Dorje, full disclosure in the raw.
We've got a mutual friend who works in local government who his exit strategy, if he ever wants to get fired, he's thought that he's just going to walk around impersonating Aunt Lydia until he finally just gets paid out. He thinks that's his escape plan.
Right. He could just quit. Couldn't he just quit?
but he's because you want to get paid out. But he's worried that like local government is so like
it's very
PC
hard.
now.
It's very hard to get paid out.
Totally.
My stepfather worked for the government service for a long time, and guys would just be sleeping on their desks, literally be sleeping, and they'd say it was sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea, yeah. I thought I had that. I bought the mask and everything.
In many films, would explain your readings on a lot of films. And they wouldn't be fired.
No, exactly. No, it's very hard to fire people, but he's a boss.
You can take a dump on your desk. You can be jack off in the toilet, so you can do anything.
Oh, come on, Dorje, don't go there. You fucking melon.
You can have noodle for hair. You cannot wash your hair for weeks. Ask Jono.
What's Noodlehead doing? Oh, he's fucking a melon.
Oh, Noodlehead. Somebody fire Noodle. We can't get rid of him. Oh, he's done Aunt Dowd. Get rid of him. He's off. He's done Aunt Lydia. No, that's the final straw. Finally, Noodlehead's done Aunt Lydia. So that's his plan to get fired. Aunt Lydia. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's selfish girl. But he's worried that they'll just think he's like he's transitioning or something, and so they won't do anything. No, seriously. It's got to that stage.
They might, yeah. You're right. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, look, as he's pointed out, and indeed, this whole movement we're heading towards has so many positives, but one of the negatives now is you mentioned, like, I was at a barbecue for actors on Sunday, and someone started mentioning something about Me Too, and the guy looked around over both shoulders and said, "I don't think we can talk about this. It's too dangerous." Like, I said, "Oh, Stasi." Like, it's getting to that level. I said,
go, "Shut your mouth."
It's like, I'm sick of it. I'm like, are we on a list? Like, are you on a list? I know that I'm on the list for the record, but it's the list references where I'm making comparison to the Stasi. It's, people are very, there's hushed tones, and people aren't sure about what they can and can't say. It will iron itself out.
That's why we're doing a podcast.
What's that?
That's why we're doing a podcast. It's really smart time to do that.
Yeah, we just get it all out in the open. We're trying to get it all out in the open. And on that note, I should probably move into my full disclosure for the week. So this is about, as I said, opening our veins a little bit in terms of events. I think, fortunately, this one's pretty safe in terms of the Me Too movement, because it's really about me being closer to a Darwin Awards type thing. Are you aware of the Darwin Awards?
We love those. Yep. There was a book.
Yeah, it's acts of idiocy by people, which is sort of a way of ironing themselves out genetically, a way that, in a Darwinistic sense, that people that aren't really smart enough don't keep procreating. And I probably put my hand up as a primary example of someone that probably shouldn't procreate, and the way things are going, I probably won't. But this particular example,
keep it light.
2011, I'm doing a play, a wonderful Marquez play. I think you mentioned Marquez last week, so I've been fortunate enough to be.
I definitely didn't. But yeah, magic realism.
No, you did.
I edited it. Do you know what I said about Marquez?
You saw that play about oh no, that was Lorca. Sorry, my mistake. Lorca.
They're not the same person, mate. No. They're not even from the same country. One's a novelist.
Yeah,
can you say Marquez? Can you say his full name?
Mallorca.
Can you say Marquez's first? Don't Google it.
Okay, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, right? Is Gabriel? Isn't it something like that?
That's not the actor that you're talking about. But anyway, he's a fantastic writer.
I love him. Captain Corelli's Mandolin. It's wonderful. Oh, really wonderful.
He didn't write that. It's a ridiculous thing to say. But he's one of the heavy hitters, and he did magic realism, and pretty much Salman Rushdie's favourite writer.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, Salman Rushdie, who can forget that? Wonderful scribe. So many tomes.
Yes. Anyway, you're in one of his plays.
Anyway, moving right along, I was doing one of his plays, but it's called I Only Came to Use the Phone. And for the record, it wasn't a play. It was a short story which we adapted into a play, and it was quite successful.
He's not a playwright.
It was quite successful in many ways, and I think it was. I was very proud to be in that production. Using
you
my.
were good, mate. You were good. You did some magic.
I did some magic. I went to a magic store, and I was, something I often do is I use my Eurasian looks to pass for a South American / Spanish person. So that's another way I tap into that particular market. So I was doing that, and I didn't have a Spanish accent. Thankfully, saved everyone from having to deal with that. And there was an actress in it, and this is 2011. I think I was freshly out of a long-term relationship, and I really fell for this actress. I thought she was intelligent, very talented, and we had a great rapport. She was lots of fun, and I thought it was. I was definitely head over heels. So we're doing the production. It's going well, but I'm very aware at this stage that sometimes I can be a bit smelly, and it's often been a bit of a problem for me. I think I do have minor BO issues. I had a girl in year 5 point out that I had BO, and it has been something on my mind since then. She said I smelled like raw meat, which isn't something you really want to smell like. And so therefore,
you've got a musk to you, but I think it attracts girls to you. I think that's the thing.
Let's not go there. Look, it's a certainly distinctive odour, and so we're going into the play, and we're into the theatre by this stage, and we're teching, and I'm just really want to impress this girl, and I'm really worried about the fact that we're halfway through tech, and I'm like, I smell, and I've got to. We had love scenes where we had to make out and sort of roll around on the floor in a very theatrical fashion, as one does. We're playing partners. I'm playing a magician, and she's playing a woman who ends up in an asylum. It's a wonderful short story. If you don't, I entreat you to have a look at it if you get the chance. Anyway,
did you ever read it?
Yes, I read. We did the whole production. We actually did the entire short story word for word, but we performed it. So it was actually the entire.
So you
short
didn't
story.
Read it.
Of course I read it before we did it. Anyway, point being, we're backstage, and I'm just about to go on stage, and I'm hyper aware that I'm not smelling my best, and I see, I'm looking, this is why, often some of the worst things that have happened in my life is when I'm just in very short notice, I'm trying to get something done very quickly, and I make snap decisions, and this is an example. I'm in the back of the theatre, and there is a scene in the play where someone lights a herbal cigarette, so there's a lighter there. However, I don't clock it as a lighter. It will become very clear to everyone if you see it'll be on our social media, and also I think even I'll Photoshop something in for the episode on our webpage. But I was looking, what I saw was a perfume bottle because, and in my defense, it was one of those jet canister lighters, which has a gas amount of gas in the bottle. And it said on the gas bottle, it said, what I read as Burnell, because it was JETBURNE, and then I think there was an R, so there was a burner, but I didn't see that. What I did see was, and then there was a 2, as in, but not 2 as in the number 2. It had 2 lines, as in the Roman italics for 2. So it was Jet Burner 2 on the lighter, but I read it. What I could see, Burnell. Okay, so I'm like, Burnell. That'll mask my smell perfectly.
Burnell by Fabergé.
So I'm like, this wonderful actress who is a recent NIDA graduate, she'll see past my raw meat smell with the odor of Burnell. So I reach for Burnell, and I'm like, wow, thank God for this. Anyway, so I pick it up, whack it up to my neck, press it down, and sure enough, this jet flame erupts from the lighter into my neck, and I'm like, like it just erupts like a rocket, I'm like, and I'm like patting my neck, like trying to put it out, and I put the lighter down, throw it down, and realize what an idiot I've been, and then I have to go straight on stage. But this stage, it's my cue, and I'm out there, and I'm sort of trying to, and I smell like burning flesh. Now I smell like burning flesh.
Burnt meat.
Anyway, it wasn't burnt meat. I got through it. She didn't notice, but I don't think she ever noticed. However, not only did I burn myself for the next week or two, and I was still in there actually in the wooing phase, I had this like large sort of dark patch, a circular patch on my neck, which looked like I had some sort of disease. I dare say if you've ever seen...
Philadelphia, the lesions.
Yes. Philadelphia, it did look a little bit like HIV lesions or something I had on myself. It wasn't ideal when you were trying to impress a lady, and it all came about because of the Jet Burner 2 Burnell a mistake. I guess if there's a moral to this story, and we don't really bother with morals generally, but obviously a stupid
I've got a moral
move.
for you.
What's that?
Yeah.
What-
Well, don't steal other people's things. It was never your perfume.
It was a prop.
It
It
was
was,
never
it was a
Oh,
prop.
okay.
It was a prop backstage. You know,
But that's the thing. You do just you don't think. You just grab things and just go for it.
what you mean for me? Always, I just grab.
In life,
That's not. It doesn't sound good at all. Okay,
Like, I don't have any money. Oh, there's some money. You just grab it.
I've never done that
You
before.
just-
I'm not
very
a thief.
caveman. Very caveman in that moment of like, oh, need to smell good for a woman.
Anyway,
What's your moral?
It
What's your
backfired, pardon the expression, terribly.
What's your moral?
My moral for the story is, look, prior
Look,
prior
you don't
preparation.
have one.
No, I do. Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance, to quote one of my favourite phys ed teachers from high school. I think if you've got something, an ailment or an issue which requires some work, if you have an Achilles heel, let's just say mine hypothetically in this situation was an odorous affliction, then ideally one should try and deal with that in a far more well planned out course of action than leaving things to the last minute. And when we leave things to the last minute,
you
unfortunately,
burn your neck. Did you catch on fire? Do you think you?
I think I
actually
did.
caught
I
on
think
fire?
not. What was it? But the good thing is because it actually not only did it like the flame come out, but it also made the noise. And it literally sounded like I'd put a flamethrower to my neck.
Okay, half glass half full. Here's my optimistic take on it. Imagine if there was a bottle of perfume there that was almost run out, and so you put a bit of that on, and it was like, oh shit, it's run out, and then you picked up the Jebonnet, and that you basically had oil on your neck, and then you would have caught on fire.
Yeah, that's true. It could have been much worse. It could have been
Much worse.
Yeah, I could have stumbled on stage
With your head on fire.
like I sent out a backdraft, just going, ah, ah, just like frantically patting at my neck. So look, it could have been worse. You're right. It could have been far, far worse. But it certainly was a low point and often it seems to be for yours truly, and I think for a lot of us, some of our most memorable mess ups are in the course of pursuing someone we want to impress very much. And for me, like similar to your in Russia, in Romania, men do not scream in movies story.
Yes.
It's often we remember those because we really wanted to impress the person and we failed dismally.
Yes, and you do have photographic evidence of this, which is very exciting.
Yes, I will post that, and you can see for yourself. I did post it shortly after it happened on my social media at the time, and most people agreed that there was a complete idiocy on my behalf to even think that was a perfume bottle. But you can see that it does look a bit like Burnell to me. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what other people think. I'm more than welcome to let us know your thoughts. There was also the time I posted on Facebook when I thought I used to shave cream, but I thought it was a toothpaste, and I put that in my mouth, and that was quite bad. But most people again pointed out that anyone should be able to figure that out. So just failing at life generally. But we are on failing at life, but perhaps we should talk about something a bit more positive because we like to keep it light, about succeeding in life. Talking about succeeding in life, you've got a new term which is hitting the waves and online en masse, and it's really about being the ultimate success at life, it seems like, as far as I'm aware. Please inform us about BDE.
Jono and Dorje. Full disclosure. No holds barred. No holds barred.
Well, I think like anything on the internet, it's already had its kind of pinnacle, and it's kind of started to deflate. But it blew up Twitter for a second there. BDE is big dick energy, and it all started when Ariana Grande, who is a Disney star turned superstar, chanteuse, tweeted about her fiance Pete Davidson, who's quite a funny comedian from Saturday Night Live, having a 10-inch cock, and then she quickly took it off Twitter. But then that really took off, and I think a lot of people were already talking about it. It was also about who's the famous restaurateur that just died.
Bourdain.
Yes, they say he has big dick energy, but it doesn't really mean that you have a big penis. It more just means you have the energy. It can be the reason people are getting away with saying it is because it's not really gendered. They're saying that badass women also have big dick energy, and it's just kind of a nonchalance. So Pete Davidson's kind of the poster boy for it, and interestingly, he was like one of the youngest ever Saturday Night Live guys. Have you seen him? He's just like a tattooed dude, but his father was one of the first responders at 9/11 and died as a fireman in 9/11, and that's kind of what he's famous for too. But they also say, like, out of the Chris's, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, and Chris Evans, that which one would you guess has the big dick energy out of those four?
I didn't know three of them, I think, but I assume Chris Hemsworth.
No, they're saying he doesn't, because they're saying, like, he's putting too much time into his muscles. They say Chris Evans, Captain America, doesn't give a fuck.
Okay.
He's the one. But I've actually got I probably know less about this than most people. But we've got a correspondent ringing up to
explain it to us,
give you more on it.
Yeah, because I'm not really on top of it. All I do know is it's really incensed a couple of my feminist friends who think they have no interest in it whatsoever. So I hope this caller can at least clear up some of the mystery, because I'm not even sure if it's really a term we should be interested in. Really, do we want to peddle this if it's a offensive terminology? That's my question. Hello.
Hello, Dorje.
Yes. Who's this?
Hello, this is Rickard.
Who?
Rickard Dickens.
Wait. So is it Rickard is your first name?
Rickard, yes, Rickard, yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Nice to meet you, Rickard.
You have some questions for me, Dorje?
Yes, I've heard that you're an expert on this BDE terminology that people are bandying around.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Well, fill me in, pardon the expression.
It's an energy, Dorje. It's not gendered or anything like that. It is something you have. You don't have to have the dick to have big dick energy.
Okay. And what sort of energy is it? Can you describe the energy?
For instance, Rihanna. You know Rihanna, Dorje.
Yeah. I'm aware of her.
Rihanna. She's hot, right?
Yeah, I guess you
don't think she's hot, Rihanna? She's hot.
Well, I guess subjectively, you
Come
can
on,
say.
Dorje, you're a man. Say it. Say Rihanna, she's hot.
Rihanna, she's hot.
No, Dorje, come on. You're a man. Feel it in your balls. Say she's hot. Rihanna's hot.
No, I don't want to feel anything in my balls.
Say it. Come on, Dorje, say it.
Well, Rihanna, she's hot. Yeah,
that's right.
Really,
yeah.
Okay, go on. Yes.
So many Canadians have BDE. For instance, our president, Trudeau, he has the most BDE out of any world leader, because he's the only one taking it to Trump.
I see. Is he the only one taking it to Trump?
Putin has BDE as well. They're the two BDE leaders, and Merkel has BDE.
Okay, good.
Other Canadians, Ryan Gosling.
Wait, are we getting a Canadian theme coming through here? Are you of Canadian extraction?
Yes, that's right. I'm from Montreal.
Okay, so is the theme of this that everyone from Canada has BDE, essentially? It seems to be something...
Not everyone from Canada, but if you look around, I'll give you some more.
Okay.
Michael Bublé has BDE.
Yeah.
Who else could sing that shit music and get away with it with such a straight face? Michael Cera has BDE.
Okay, yeah.
Anna Reeves, Katie Lang, Jim Carrey's BDE.
Yeah, I'm seeing a connection here between...
Bieber.
These. Yeah.
The Sutherlands, Kiefer, Donald, Joan, all have BDE.
The Sutherlands made it as well. Yeah, it's fair enough. Actually, I think Donald Sutherland gets his knob out in Don't Look Now, famously. Do you like that film, Don't Look Now?
I have not seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? It's famous because it supposedly had a real sex scene in it, actually. You could see the knob and everything, supposedly.
You see everything?
Yeah, everything, yeah.
Is that why it's called Don't Look Now?
No, that's not why it's called Don't Look Now. So, yeah,
George,
that's...
Pop quiz. Who would you say has the biggest dick energy on Friends?
BDE on Friends. Okay, I'm going to lock in, David Schwimmer.
Incorrect, Dorje.
But his name sounds like a penis. Surely that would
David
be the...
Schwimmer, no. That would be a tricky one. That would be a clever... No, really, there's obviously one.
Okay, wait, I got this.
Yes.
Courtney Cox.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. Yes, because of the Cox.
Her name sounds like a penis. No, okay. Who you got
Monica.
for me? Who?
Monica. Her name is Monica.
Oh, okay.
But no, not her.
Okay.
Not Schwimmer.
Who is it?
You have a guess.
Oh, jeez. Matt LeBlanc.
No, it is not Joey.
Matthew Perry?
Chandler, yes, correct. Guess where he's from?
Canada.
Canada, thank you. Neil Young, when he was singing Old Man, Take a Look at My Life, he's talking about his old man, his old feller. He's talking about his big dick.
Pretty sure he's not talking about that. No, I don't think that's what he's talking about. So it seems like, despite you saying it's not gender, it's not related to gender, how come in Friends you went for the, I noticed you went for the man there, Neil, there's a lot of seems to be about strong male motif.
No, I said Katie Lang.
But yeah, apart from Katie Lang, what about?
How do you think in Titanic she reaches all those amazing high notes?
That's not
BDE.
That's Celine Dion. That's not Katie Lang.
No, she's also Canadian.
Yeah, but but you are
Ghostbusters. Who has the most BDE in Ghostbusters?
I don't know. You tell me.
Girl in it. She's from Canada.
Okay, I'm just definitely seeing a strong Canadian motif. And look, you're more than welcome to say that you think that Canadians have BDE.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, yeah. Is he Canadian by any chance?
Correct.
Good to hear. Mike Myers, does he have BDE?
No, tiny micro penis.
Okay.
They call him Micro Mike.
Yes. Well,
not all Canadians.
Not all Canadians. Well, good to see. Well, so unfortunately don't really demystify what it is for me, apart from reeling off a whole bunch of Canadians.
Energy,
and is it? I assume it's a confidence. Is that what it is? A certain a confidence and surety of oneself and where one's going. Is that sort of what we're looking at?
Right.
Is it a quiet confidence? You don't need to be verbose, I assume. Is that also part of it?
No, well, like Keanu Reeves is a good example of Bublé. No, yes, it is a suave nonchalance.
Okay, so you're not trying too hard. Essentially, you can't be a try hard.
No, you're not compensating for anything.
Well, how does Carey have it then? Because he bangs on a lot about lots of things and pulls faces and is extremely expressive.
Jim Carrey, of course, he has big dick energy. No, now he has big dick energy. He's grown a big beard.
Oh, the
he doesn't
beard.
Give a fuck.
Oh, now okay. So not giving a fuck is a large part of BDE. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, look, it's wonderful. I guess you have sort of made things a bit clearer on it for me. Do you think this terminology will has longevity, this terminology? Do you think it's going to be something that's going to be around for a long time, or what's your theory on it in terms of being a buzz term? Does it have legs, I suppose is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, you could say it has 3 legs.
Yes.
But that would just be a dick joke.
Yeah, it would be a dick joke. And we're trying to do better than that, aren't we?
That's right.
We're trying to raise the bar, pardon the expression, here on Full Disclosure.
Absolutely. And listen out for Drake is going to do a track for you at some stage.
Oh, really? I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's brilliant. He's done, you know what? I saw Drake's brought in millions of dollars of tourism to Canada. Is that correct? It's a bit like our mastermind down in Tasmania with Mona. He sort of really put Canada on the map in many ways. So are you a fan as a result?
Oh, yes. We love Drake. We love all Canadians. Yeah. How?
Yeah, great stuff. Well, thanks, Rickard. Thanks for filling us in.
Thank you, Dorje. Thank you, Jono. Bye.
It's Full Disclosure, the Jono and Dorje podcast.
All right, well, we should probably wrap up episode 13, Lucky 13. We've covered a strong suite of full disclosures yet again we've come across. We have such a large array to choose from. I'm off to Splendour in the Grass over the next few days, where I'll hopefully come back with some more good oil. And we do...
Are you there in your capacity as Duff Man?
That's right. I am dressing up as Duff Man and dealing with drunk 19-year-olds. Should be fun, lots of fun. Right. But we do definitely... we promised you a guest this week, but we definitely have a guest locked in for next week. Our first female guest, which we're very excited about.
Yes.
As someone that is multi-award winning and a star of stage, particular, but also screen. That'll be a real buzz. Anything you want to sign off with, Jono Burns?
No, just looking forward to that. Good to have another guest. Great chat into your big cat, and speak to you for episode 14.
Okay, see you later, folks. Later, fans.
Yeah. Coming to you every week from Sydney and Melbourne. It's Full Disclosure, the Jono and Dorje podcast. Jono and Dorje, full disclosure in the raw.